Bismillah. 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 Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. اللهم افتح لنا فتوح العارفين ووفقنا توفيق الصالحين. اللهم علمنا بالقرآن وذكر الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يقربنا منك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا سهلا. اللهم أعذنا من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا واصلح لنا شأننا كله. لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا اللهم صل صلاة كاملة سلم سلاما تاما على نبي تنحل به العقد وتنفرج به الكرب وتقضى به الحوائج تنال به الرغائب وحسن الخواتيم ويستسقى الغمام وجهه الكريم وعلى آله. So I was mentioning the salawat that we're doing. I don't know if it actually, if I actually said it online, but we're doing the salawat and it's by this Moroccan sheikh. It's really good for tribulations. He wrote it. I mean, salawat in general is great for tribulations because, according to as mentioned in the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ is reported to have mentioned that if one does one salawat on him, ﷺ, that Allah Ta'ala prays, quote unquote, upon the person 10 times, which means the mercy of Allah descends upon the person. And so, there's a very, very famous salawat, like the Dalail Khairat, the book of salawat, that Sheikh Samin was saying that when a woman got married, she would get the Mus'haf and the Dalail Khairat. Like, those were two things that she would always get. SubhanAllah. And then this other salawat that I came upon that my Turkish friend had heard of, she's like, yeah, we know this one. And, my Damascus, one of my teachers in Damascus who's here, I started stuff with her here. She's in Southern California. She said, yeah, we know it too. And so traditional societies, they know the salawat. It's by a Moroccan Sheikh, rahimahullah. He wrote it, and originally it was called As-Salat Taziyah, and so all the intentions that he made, that he wrote it, and all the du'as. Like, these people would make du'a for people that, that recite it, and all the other du'as that he's made. Anyway, so they found out that if you recite it 4,444 times, it's known, the du'as after that recitation, and they would do it in one majlis, and they found that it would be answered, the du'as would be answered right away. Certain shuyukh would recite it. And so Sheikh Muhammad Ali Jumara, who used to be, I don't know if he's still the mufti of Egypt, the Grand Mufti, but he revived in Al-Azhar the old traditional school. So he was talking about it, and he actually gave the wording for the salawat. And so I wrote it down, and we're actually doing that. Different people have mentioned different forms, but, I wanted to get this one from him because he said this is what's been narrated to us from my shuyukh, going all the way back to the sheikh who actually wrote it. And so subhanAllah, I was reciting that while I was doing this. And then we're also doing this as a group. We're doing a specific number slowly, and inshallah, hopefully we can do the khatam in Ramadan. So, okay, Bismillah, Tayammum. Jazakallah khairan for your patience. Okay, Tayammum. So for whom Tayammum is permitted? So it's permitted for the traveler, right? The one who is not on an impermissible journey. And I have, if those of you that are in the group, in our WhatsApp group, we posted one of the students posted the PDF for the travel brochure and also the summary. So if you want to look at that to see when are you considered, legally, when are you considered a traveler. All right, so the infirm or the sick, a healthy person who is a resident and does not have sufficient time to perform the obligations of wudu, does tayammum for a fard prayer only, per the dominant opinion. So if he or she is concerned that the daruri time for the fard prayer will enter if he or she performs a basic wudu. So if you're in you're not considered a traveler, right? Say in your city, you're considered a resident, you're not sick, and you are a healthy person, but you feel that you really think that if you do wudu, even the fard of wudu, right? That's what I mean, a basic wudu. If you do the fard of wudu, the time will go out and it'll go into the daruri. So I want to backtrack a little bit on the prayer times. So if you remember, we went over the prayer times. Whoops. So zawal is when the mukhtar, the preferred time, comes in for dhuhr, and then the daruri or the preferred time for dhuhr comes in when asr starts. So this is the preferred time for asr. The preferred time of asr ends because there's two asr times. One is the earlier asr time, like on the charts, on the prayer charts, you'll see one. Like if you do, if you have the app, you can go Hanafi or you can go the other three madhahib. So the Hanafis, according to Abu Hanifa, they pray in the later time. That later time, once that comes in, that's what starts the daruri time for the Malikis. It's not even an hour from the time when Asr actually comes in. And then the daruri for dhuhr and asr both go all the way up to sunset. So this is all adab, but it's sinful to actually delay it. It's not a make-up prayer. So the Malikis are a little bit different than some of the how the other madhahib do it. So the Malikis say it's not a make-up prayer, but it's sinful to delay it to the necessary time. So I have that in red. Is this clear? I'm just reviewing. This is from last time, just in case it's not clear. Is this clear, inshallah? Bismillah. So if you're worried that if you do the fard of tayammum, so you're not washing your limbs 3 times, you're just doing your fard. You would just leave the gargling, you would leave the nose washing, you would leave the washing the hands at the outset. You would just do the face, and you would make your intention when you're doing the face. You would do your hands up to your elbows, your arms, right, just once. And you would do a complete head wipe, that's the fard, and you would do the feet. So you'd have to leave the ears also. But for the next prayer, you'd want to do the ears. If you can't even do the fard, right, and you would maintain continuity and you would do the rubbing, right? There's 7 fara'id of wudu. If you can't even do that, without going into the mukhtar or going to the daruri for any particular prayer, then you would go to tayammum. If this is for the resident who is who's healthy. And you have water, right? It's just the time is the issue. So that's the dominant opinion. The weaker opinion is, the other opinion is that the person would still do the fard of wudu even if it went into the daruri. Okay, so, and then for daruri, for Maghrib and Isha, because Maghrib and Isha, just like Dhuhr and Asr share time, Maghrib and Isha have some shared time. So Maghrib, the preferred time, the Mukhtar time, is at sunset, complete sunset, when the sun is completely below the horizon. You have to be careful, make sure you have prayer chart that, where they're waiting till the sun is completely below the horizon. Right, this is the preferred time. And then according to I mean, there's two strong opinions for Maghrib. Sheikh Sadiq was saying the fatwa is on the stricter opinion, but these are both strong opinions. It's not a weak opinion. So the one opinion is that the time for the preferred time for Maghrib is only such that you can fulfill all the conditions of the Maghrib prayer. And you pray the prayer and that's it. Then you get into the daruri. The other time, the other opinion, which is also strong, says that Maghrib goes all the way up to the entrance of Isha. Inshallah, that's clear. I'm going to lower this. Oh, actually, I'm going to pull it up a little bit. Is that clear? I'm just going to move it so it seems like it's blocking. Let me know if you can't see if something clearly. Any questions so far? That red box is sunset. Okay. And then the Isha, the Daruri the Isha time starts in the first 1/3 of the night, right? And we talked about that last time. Isha, the Mukhtar is up to the end of the first 1/3 of the night. When does the Mukhtar time for Isha start? It starts when all the red and the pink is gone, but there's still going to be white in the sky. Right? As long as the red, pink, all those colors are gone, Isha is in, even though there's going to be white in the sky, as opposed to how the Hanafis pray. And then the Mukhtar time for Isha goes out when the first 1/3 of the night has gone out. So you want to be careful about not delaying it. And then you have the Daruri, and that goes all the way up to Maghrib. And then after the Daruri, it's makeup. It's Qada. So those are the prayer times. And then, oops, this is from last time. And then Fajr, I guess I didn't. And then Fajr is when, just to do a quick review. Okay, Fajr is, the white light is visible across the horizon. And the sun is generally approximately 12 degrees. Like if you're looking at the prayer charts, that's why I did that. This is from Dr. Yusuf Ismail, Allah bless him. I asked him a lot of questions. And also one of his students also helped me out. So this is called this will be called nautical twilight. There's going to be some exceptions if you're like at ends of the earth. And so that's why I put a question mark. So if you're, in very high latitudes, ends of the earth, you may not be able to use this 12 degrees. So that's the Mukhtar. And then Daruri comes in when the faces are discernible without artificial light. And then according to the chart, the sun is approximately 6 degrees below the horizon. And again, exceptions would be, if you're at extreme ends of the earth. And this is called civil twilight. And then false dawn is what's on the charts. It'll say 18 degrees. So some of the charts actually have that as Fajr coming in. But you don't see any actual light that spreads across the horizon. You will see false dawn, you'll see like a fox's tail light. So it goes, instead of horizontally, it goes up and down in the sky. And it's approximately, at least in our area, about 20 minutes, I was told, before the true Fajr comes in. You'll see like a fox's tail light. And that's when the sun is 18 degrees below the horizon. And some of the charts, they'll give that as the Fajr time. So that's false dawn. And then this is true dawn, is when you see some signs of it across the horizon. So you want to be careful with also with the fasting and everything, that, if you close it, ideally you close it just precautionarily, not that you have to, by the 18-degree time. But then you don't want to pray until the 12-degree time, right? Inshallah, I'll repost we did the fiqh of fasting last year, and I have the brochure. I'll repost those 3 classes to the group. So make sure to review. Okay, going back to, so this is all from last time. Okay. So, so we did the 3rd bullet, 1, 2, 3. 4th bullet, one cannot find someone to fetch the water, right? So it's not really an issue for us. One fears an illness, right? So this would go back to, I'm sorry I split these up, goes back to the 2nd bullet. So you fear an illness. You really feel, and this is by your experience, that, and this is a valid fear, that, last time when I did wudu, when it was this cold, I got sick. And it wasn't an exception, but this is generally the rule with my body, for example, that when I'm out camping and it's this cold, if I use wudu, if I do wudu, I'm going to get sick. You can still do wudu, but you have the option of going to tayammum. The only time one would have to go to tayammum is when fear is by one washing oneself, using water, that one would lose a limb or lose an eye, lose a faculty, or, and of course die, obviously, right? But otherwise it's permissible. In this last situation, when one fears an illness, you could do either or. Fear is delaying of healing time. So somebody says, okay, well, I'm sick. I have I have a flu, I have a fever. If I use water, it won't kill me, and I won't lose, a body part or, anything like that. But it'll just delay the healing. I'll just, most likely I'll be sick longer, or it could intensify it. But I'll still be sick for only 3 days, but the fever will go up, and then, I get a 3-day fever once a month or something like that. And then and then it's gone. So you kind of know yourself. So this is going to be either from your own experience, or in rare cases, if you know somebody who's a lot like you in temperament, you can use that as well. That's just going to be pretty rare to know somebody that well, and their mizaj, their tabar, their temperament. So a traveler can do tayammum for nafil independently. But a healthy resident, you're just doing the fard. You don't repeat the prayer. Like if you were a healthy resident, so you're in your home, you're healthy, you're not sick, and time's running out, and you had to go and you had to do tayammum because you couldn't even do the fard wudu. You don't repeat the prayer. You don't have to repeat the prayer, but you wouldn't do tayammum for the sunnahs because you're a healthy resident. Right, so if you're running short of time, it's like Fajr time's gonna go out. You just do the fard of wudu. And you would do the fard prayer. That's it. And the 2, what are called raghiba, it's the Malikis call what they call the Fajr prayer is the non-fard prayer, the 2 that you pray before. They don't, and it's not considered a sunnah. It's slightly below sunnah, but higher than a nafil. You make niyyah for Fajr. But the actual fard prayer, which some of the other madhahib, they'll say that's the Fajr prayer. The Malikis actually say that's called the subh prayer. Is that clear, inshallah? So when you're making an intention in the morning, right? So irrespective of tayammum, but when you're making intention, when you're doing the two non-fard, you make the intention of fajr. And then when you do the fards, you make the intention of subh. And so if you, going back to tayammum, if you had to do tayammum, so and you're a healthy resident, which means you can't do non-fard beforehand, right? You can't do the two non-fard at fajr, but you would just do the fard, and then after sunrise, you would make up. You should make up the non-fard. It's the one non-fard that you can actually make up till dhuhr. Right, so you didn't intentionally cut it off. You just didn't pray it. Is that clear, inshallah? Okay, I'll keep going unless somebody asks questions, inshallah. Okay. It is permissible for a sick person or traveler to do tayammum for, right? So we're excluded the third category, which is the healthy resident, right? Because you said he does it only for the fard. So these are the other two people, a sick person or a traveler, to do tayammum for a janaza prayer, right? Because a janaza prayer is not fard. It's fard kifaya, it's a community obligation, but it's not fard ayn. Or they could do it for sunnah or nafil prayers, touching a mushaf, doing tawaf, like a non-wajib tawaf. For example, if they're on Hajj, certain tawaf is non-wajib. And then whatever ruling that tawaf takes, the two rak'ah you do after it, behind the maqam of Sayyidina Ibrahim, the ruling of those two rak'ah is the same as the ruling of the tawaf that you did, whether it's fard or wajib or non or nafil. If any of the above non-fard acts are performed before the fard, then the tayammum must be repeated for the fard. Right, so the Malikis don't allow that you can that you do the nafil before the fard and then you can do the fard after. Is this clear so far? And you also may not pray two fard prayers with one tayammum. The second fard prayer is rendered invalid. So in the Maliki, you have to repeat your tayammum, assuming it's valid for you, if you're doing another fard. And then the sick or traveler may also perform tayammum for non-fard acts. Like you just want to read the mushaf, right? That's Quran only. And you're sick. And there's no fard prayer coming in. Or you want to do nafil and you're sick or you're a traveler. You may also perform tayammum for non-fard acts, touching the musaf or nafil prayer. The traveler, therefore, is not required to carry water with him or her, as opposed to the healthy resident who must take the means to ensure there is water. So this is, again, not that the travel can't. This is not for every traveler, right? So you could be considered a traveler, but you can't do tayammum. But you could be traveling. You don't have to keep water with you. So you don't have water. You should carry a rock with you if you're traveling. For example, I mentioned this in a later slide, your menstrual cycle could cut off. And, there's in those toilets on the plane, you can just do wudu barely. You can't do ghusl, right? And if the prayer time is going to go out, you would have to do tayammum. And then you would have to make certain intentions because it wouldn't lift. In the Maliki, it doesn't lift your ritual impurity. Meaning you're still in that state of this unseen impurity, doesn't lift it. So it's not one of the intentions you can make as opposed to wudu, right? You can say, you can say in your heart, I'm intending to lift this ritual impurity, this impurity on my limbs that can't be seen. I'm lifting that with wudu. You can intend that for the wudu. You can't intend that for tayammum. Okay, and then we have the travel brochure if you want to know who is considered a traveler. So if they're a traveler and they run out of water, like some people go hiking or camping and have these Girl Scouts, like some of these girls, I do a class and they were asking about, we were doing, I was going over Tayammum with them and they're like, what if we have we're in our area, we don't want to go down to where there's water, and they're travelers because they're considered apparently, inshallah, legally travelers. And so can we go to tayammum? So there's no water in their area, for example. So I said, you have to ask your scout leader, whomever, that go with us so that we can go get the water. So it's at a little bit of a distance. For an example, maybe they don't want to go alone because they're out in the woods. So I said, just ask somebody to walk with you because they might be a little bit afraid. Wallahu alam. Okay, then the obligations of tayammum, without which the tayammum would not be valid. It's amazing because of this dispensation, because of this ruling in the Maliki that if the prayer time is going to go out, you can go to tayammum. They actually have. I stayed in Tunisia I was there for a few weeks. They had huge rocks in homes. SubhanAllah, huge, and I was like, that's so beautiful. It was like a rented home. Adlan, I'm coming to that, inshallah. I actually have a slide. Okay. Oh, it's on this one. Intention, which is always in the heart, unless somebody is a person, they're muwaswas, so they're getting whisperings from shaitan. You have to ignore that, right? But if you're getting whisperings and it's hard to focus, it's fine to do the intention on the tongue, to actually say it out loud. But otherwise, the intention in the heart that's the basis of it. So you wouldn't even move your tongue. Making the prayer permissible, right? Or making whatever is prevented by a hadath. Hadath, an act that requires wudu. Hadath meaning somebody passed wind. That's a hadath. That's an event that broke somebody's wudu. So now because I had this hadath or this event happen, I cannot touch the mushaf. But now I'm making this intention that I'm making the impermissible permissible. Example, touching the mushaf. Right? Because it's fard for me to have either do tayammum if I'm somebody who is allowed to do tayammum, or do wudu before I touch the mushaf. Okay, and then here's the answer to your question. Intention of greater ritual impurity, continuing to be in a state of greater ritual impurity, meaning that if you're in somebody like your cycle cut off on the plane, you acknowledge that you're in a state of greater ritual impurity, meaning, for example, this is what you would say in your heart. I am making the prayer permissible, but I am still in a state of ritual impurity. This is like what you bring to the heart. If you have to do tayammum on the plane, actually had to do that. SubhanAllah. It's like sometimes it helps just be put in a situation where you're like, well, I remember I was on the way to Syria and happened to me, and I actually had to do tayammum. And then since I was a traveler, I could do tayammum because it was Fajr. And so I had to do tayammum. I could do tayammum for the non-fard, because the Fajr, the non-fard, comes before the fard. So you can't pray a fard with it. So, but since I was a traveler, I could do tayammum for the non-fard. So I did tayammum for the non-fard. I prayed them, then I repeated the tayammum, and then I prayed the subh. I still remember that really clearly because what I had to do is I had a long hijab, and I just kind of undid just the tie or the clip, and I did my face. I rubbed the rock under my hijab. It was really quick. It just took a few minutes. And I did my face, and I did my hands. I think I even was able to do my arms, which is the sunnah. And then I did it twice and just prayed. It was really not difficult. There were people all around me. I think many people were sleeping because it was Fajr, which helped, and the lights were dim. But I don't think, even if the lights have been, on, that they would have seen anything. But alhamdulillah, it worked. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so obligations of tayammum, your intention, pure surface of the earth. So carry a rock because it's easier than carrying a sand. I mean, imagine that would be a little bit, you open up this bag of dust and you're on the plane. If you can do it, it's great, mashallah. It's that is one, because there's khilaf about whether, between the schools of thought, in terms of using a rock or not. So, but I carry a rock. Pure surface of the earth, so it can't have any impurity. If you're using sand, nobody peed on the sand or anything like that. Wiping the face, right? So the face, whatever counts is considered the face in wudu, it would be the same demarcation here. Wiping the hands, including the wrists, because in the Maliki, technically, if you're not going to do the sunnah, which would be makruh to leave, but technically, if you're running out of time, right, you would just go to the wrists and your tayammum is valid. The first pat of the earth or the stone, meaning you don't have to do two pats. Meaning you can just do one pat, like you take a stone, and if it's a small stone, you rub it all over your hand. And then you rub your face. So whatever area that that the stone touched the hand, think of that like water. And then all those parts of the hand that you rubbed with the stone, then you would use to wipe your face completely, just like you would do in wudu. And you don't have to do a repeat wipe like you don't have to rub the stone again to do your hands up to the wrist. So that's like the fard. Just make sure that when you're doing the wiping that you're like you have to make sure that when you're doing your fingers, you would actually grab each finger and make a fist with them. You see what I mean? Grab each finger and make a fist with it. Take for example, you're doing your right hand. So take each finger and fold your left hand over it so that you can't see the finger. Right? That's how you would do the tayammum of the fingers. Because it's the palm of the left and the right hand that touch the rock. So now with that you have to get your fingers and every area that you need to get for tayammum. You need to touch. Is that clear? Okay, I'll keep going unless there's any questions. And then, so this is the fard. Continuity, same as wudu, right? In wudu we said, you go to the next limb, and you start the washing of it before the previous limb has dried, right? So it's basically the same time. Entrance of the prayer time. So for the Malikis, the prayer time has to have entered. And then performance of it immediately prior to the prayer. So you do it and then just go pray. Is this clear, inshallah? Okay, and then now the sunnahs are a separate patting of the earth for wiping the hands. Right, because you can just you just do the one pat is enough. Just make sure you get all the inside of your hands, including the fingers, ideally, just so that you make sure that you actually do your face properly and your hands properly. Now, sunnah is wiping the arms up to including the wrists, order of the limbs, meaning the face and the hands. Now, the virtuous acts of tayammum, so this is extra, it's lower than a sunnah, is saying the bismillah, right? And actions are, there's more barakah if you say bismillah. Doing the right arm prior to the left, doing the outer arm prior to the inner, and beginning with the tips of the fingers, as opposed to, for example, if you're going to do the entire arm, you don't want to start with the elbow. So let me just explain it. What you would do is, it's like we'll start with the right. So think of you having done the face already. Now face your hands so that they're both facing the sky or the ceiling. Okay, they're flat and they're straight and they're parallel to the ceiling. Now put the right hand over the left hand. It's like you're piggybacking them, and they're still both facing the ceiling. Okay, and one is on top of the other, and then slowly move because you're doing the right hand, so you slowly move the left hand, which you would have rubbed the rock with, right? Move it all the way down to the elbow. And then turn into the inside of the arm. Turn into the inside of the arm, and now your entire inner left hand is on your arm, and you move all the way up until like your palms are touching each other all the way, right? And then once you do that, that's the ideal way to do it. Then you grab each finger, like I mentioned earlier, grab each finger and make a fist with your left hand, and the finger goes inside the fist, and that's how you get the fingers also. For each finger, you have to do that. Inshallah, that's clear? Because just because you do the hand up to the elbows and then the inside, the way I explained, and in Ibn Ashir, he calls that the Wasfun Hamid, it's still, unless you do the fingers individually, you're going to miss out on the area in between the fingers. Okay, then what nullifies so the nullifies of tayammum, meaning now your tayammum is invalid, whatever nullifies your wudu. And in addition to that, exiting of the prayer time. So for the next prayer time, if you're still somebody for whom it's permissible to do tayammum, you would have to repeat your tayammum. The excuse that permitted the tayammum is no longer there. Right, so somebody came and gave you water, and he says in Khalil that you have to accept a gift of water. If one found water before the prayer, and if you did tayammum, and then like, oh, okay, we went camping and we found water, and you hadn't done the prayer, you would have to now do wudu. And the last situation is you have water, but you forgot about it. but during the prayer you remembered, oh, I have this water, then it would nullify your tayammum during the prayer. But if you forgot about it until after the prayer, that prayer is still valid. Okay, next slide. Now this is recommended only. It's recommended only to repeat the prayer with wudu if the prayer time has not exited, and if after completing the prayer, so these are recommendations. So you complete the prayer and you find water close by or in his baggage or luggage. So this was like, as opposed to finding it, you knew you had water in your baggage, but you forgot. But during the prayer you realized, right? Then you would have to cut off the prayer. But now this is after the prayer. It's in your baggage. It's close by. It's recommended to repeat it with wudu. The infirm, somebody who's ill, finds someone to fetch him water. So it would be recommended, because he's already done the prayer. Someone afraid of animals, robbers, attain safety. Again, this is all after prayer. The one hopeful of reaching, finding water, prays in the beginning of the prayer time and comes upon water. So when somebody who's hopeful of finding water, so they're camping and they're like, we're in the muhtar time, we're going to most likely find water. And for that person, it's recommended to wait towards the end of the muhtar time. So now that person's like, well, I don't have to wait till the end of the muhtar time to see if we'll get water. It's just recommended. So we don't have water right now, and I'm hopeful we'll find it before the end of the muhtar, but I'm going to pray with tayammum because technically I can. So they prayed with tayammum, and then before the muhtar time went out, indeed they found water. Then it would be recommended for that person to repeat. And then the one who forgot about water being present in a certain place till after the prayer recalls this water, right? So this is after the fact. The one who wiped the hands alone and not the forearms during tayammum, because they did a makruh act, so it would be recommended to repeat. The one who took the opinion that impure earth is purified by drying, performed tayammum on this earth. There was some najasa there, and then it became dry, and there is an opinion in one of the other schools that it's purified by drying. So they took that opinion, and they actually did tayammum on that earth that had najasa on it, but it had dried. And so there's no traces of najasa, but they know that there was najasa there. So it'd be recommended for them to repeat with wudu. But the prayer is valid in all these situations, and that's why it's only recommended to repeat. Okay, what one may perform tayammum upon? Anything pure from the earth's surface, like earth, dirt is preferred because you get out a difference opinion. But you can use stones, and that's the reality of probably what most people are using. A brick if it's unbaked. And you could even buy stones. You could buy a stone. Snow if nothing else is found. Otherwise, there's two opinions on its permissibility. Ores, minerals, right? So somebody found any kind of ore, any metal. Right? It's not used as currency. They're not, so currency, they're not precious stones. So salt is an ore, right? It's not transported from place of origin, for example, salt beds, such that they're now a commodity, like they sell salt, right? So it's a commodity, so you can't use it. But if you get to a salt bed and you're somebody who's allowed to do tayammum, you could use that salt bed. You could do tayammum on that because they're not a commodity yet. They weren't transported for for buying and selling. But you can't do tayammum on straw or on wood or the like. Not what's growing on the earth. Okay, a few points. If there's water within a 2-kilometer distance, one must seek it out. If you can do it without undue distress, right? And one has to be careful about undue distress, because sometimes we just don't want to make the effort, and that wouldn't be considered undue distress. But if you have to climb certainly Mount Everest or something like that, that obviously would be different. If one is gifted some water, one must accept the gift. I mentioned that. If one is on a plane and one's cycle cut off, found oneself needing a ghusl but cannot perform it, one would be required to perform tayammum and pray while maintaining in the heart that one is still in a state of ritual impurity. Right? This is a repeat. If it is Fajr time, one would perform tayammum for Fajr, the Raghiba, the 2 rak'ah that are non-fard, and then again for the Subh, the 2 rak'ah fard, as the fard prayer is prayed after the non-fard. So the tayammum must be repeated. Finally, if one thinks there's a likely possibility that one will need to do tayammum, one must carry a stone or the like. Okay, inshallah, this is clear. Okay, that is it. جزا الله عنا سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ما هو أهله وجزا الله عنا سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ما هو أهله وجزا الله عنا سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ما هو أهله سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Inshallah, if there's no questions, we'll stop here. Okay, Jazakallah khairan. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وسلم. اللهم صل صلاة كاملة سلم سلاما تاما على نبي تنحل به العقد وتنفرج به الكرب وتقضى به الحوائج وتنال به الرغائب وحسن الخواتيم ويستسقى الغمام بوجهه الكريم. اللهم صل صلاة كاملة سلم سلاما تاما على نبي تنحل به العقد وتنفرج به الكرب وتقضى به الحوائج وتنال به الرغائب وحسن الخواتيم يستسقى الغمام وجه الكريم ولا آله. اللهم صل صلاة كاملة سلم سلاما تاما على نبي تنحل به العقد وتنفرج به الكرب وتقضى به الحوائج وتنال به الرغائب وحسن الخواتيم ويستسقى الغمام وجه الكريم ولا آله. Okay, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Glad to have you back.